Chris Walton out today. Rick Worthington, news director, filling in here on the Casper and Chris show. It is 7:09, and on the phone line with us this morning is former communications specialist for Governor Butch Otter, deputy press secretary for Senator Mike Crapo. Currently, he is a political affairs director for the Idaho Association of Realtors. Max Pond is on the line with us this morning. Good morning, Max. Thanks for taking a few minutes with us.
Morning, gentlemen. Glad to be here. Thank you.
The whole reason why we got a hold of you this week was Governor Brad Little is with us every week, and we talked to him. And one of our listener questions had to do with first-time homebuyer savings account. And she had heard last year this being talked about and thought it was a great idea. And then she was wondering what happened. It's nowhere to be seen. And I know because I'm married to somebody who was really involved in seeing this get through.
He's married to a smarter person than he is what he's saying.
Yes. That this had passed, but the governor had said, yes, it is already law. And then we received quite a few emails and questions about exactly what the first-time homebuyer savings account is. So I thought instead of me trying to explain it, I would get the person that was responsible for getting it passed in the legislature this year on the air to talk to us about it. Tell us exactly what is it?
Absolutely. Well, thanks again. And you did mention the governor, so I first off have to thank him and his staff, obviously, for being supportive of the program from the beginning. But to kind of run over the program briefly, and then I obviously can dive into any specific questions. But when I talk about, this program to folks, I like to remind them of some other tax advantage savings accounts that are already out there that they likely have heard about or maybe have of their own already. And that's the Idaho Healthcare Savings Accounts, and then the Education Savings Accounts that Idaho has, or the 529 savings accounts that I know that many parents have for their children and the students involved in their lives. First-time homebuyer savings account is pretty similar, particularly to the healthcare savings accounts, in that the account holder, essentially, if they save it, they can deduct it from their state taxable income, obviously up to the limit amount, which is $15,000 per year for a single tax filer here in Idaho, and $30,000 a year for married couples. The lifetime of that account is up to $100,000. The aim of it really was to help folks save for a down payment and a number of other things. I can get into that. But we also have to be a tax-paying Idahoan who resides in Idaho and who's never owned property as well.
Let's talk specifically about those who are hearing about this right now and say, wow, that sounds like a great idea, but I don't have the first idea about how to do it. Walk me through. Do I speak to my employer about setting up an account like this, or is this something that I do at the bank?
It's a great question. Because, as I mentioned, these other savings accounts, they're a little bit different. So for first-time home buyers, it's what you could think of as pretty much a self-administered program, meaning you go to your state institution, whichever bank you use, whichever credit union you use, and you go there and you set it up, and then at the end of the year on your taxes, you deduct what you saved from your taxable income. The State Tax Commission does have that deduction on their deduction table. So it's a self-administered thing. You go to your bank and you set it up. And so that's essentially how it's done. The only caveat I would say is that with this wonderful thing called COVID, I know that not all state institutions have set up the forms that they need to for this, but there are institutions out there that have. And if there are specific questions and who's doing that, I would definitely allow people to, or give you the opportunity to give people my number and contact to find out those specific institutions.
Now, Max, this is specifically for first-time homebuyers, correct?
That's correct. So you and that's another deviation of where, if you go to get a loan or you go get a loan from a regular institution or even Idaho Housing and Finance, they have a different definition of first-time homebuyer. Our definition of first-time homebuyer is a true first-time homebuyer So you can't have purchased property or owned property in Idaho before or anywhere else.
Got it. All right, so let's move on to a new law that is supposed to take effect January 1st, and this new law will affect the possibility of all home buyers, correct?
Yeah, well, especially folks that aren't able to get into a newly constructed home. I believe you're referring to the April 15th fix that we had. And so, and this is a little bit kind of tricky to describe, but essentially, if you were purchasing an existing home from someone who didn't have it as their primary residence, meaning they didn't have the homeowners exemption on that house, and you just so happened to purchase that home after April 15th, you would have to wait, up to possibly a year to get that tax savings from being a homeowner. And so we fixed that this last legislative session so folks can file for that and receive that at any point of the year.
And that takes effect beginning January 1st, correct?
Yep, 2021, yep.
All right. And that can save thousands of dollars for homeowners, getting a chance to take advantage of that tax deduction, if they buy a home on April 16th, which is just one day later than what you would have to previously have bought the home. So that's kind of a great deal. Max, I want to thank you for taking time to talk with us today. More importantly, that you give this information than me trying to explain it. Did a great job. Appreciate you taking a few minutes.
I wholly agree. It was better coming from you, my man. Nice job.
Thanks, guys. I'll come on anytime if you have any other questions. You just let me know.
All right. Thank you once again. Max Pond, Political Affairs Director for the Idaho Association of Realtors.